Natasha Romanoff was set to be a trailblazer for Marvel's female superheroes even before Iron Man hit the screens, but the movie was suddenly canceled. In 2004, Marvel and Lionsgate planned to bring one of Marvel's most fantastic female characters into her own solo film, but it never happened. David Hayter, the genius who wrote a script for a Black Widow movie that never saw the light of day, was all set to make his directorial debut with the Black Widow film at Lionsgate. Hayter spent an entire year crafting what would have been a gripping origin story for Natasha Romanoff as she navigated a tangled web of espionage and deception. The film aimed to delve deep into her past, revealing her struggles and confrontations with the dark forces that ran the Red Room, where she was trained. But after he finished the screenplay, Lionsgate changed its mind and ditched the idea. We still wished we had seen the movie because in it, we could have seen Natasha's troubled past. The story would have kicked off in the cold, shadowy realms of Russia, where a young Natasha faces a life-altering tragedy, the death of her parents. Orphaned and vulnerable, she is handed over to the KGB, which transforms her into a super spy, not just training her, but also brainwashing her to be a lethal assassin under the Red Room program. This part of her life would show the psychological and physical conditioning that shaped Natasha into the formidable Black Widow. However, things would soon indeed turn black. As the Soviet Union starts to crumble, the KGB decides Natasha is too dangerous to keep alive, but underestimates her resilience. Natasha, now more brutal and cunning than they could ever have anticipated, makes a daring escape to America. Many years later, Natasha, who is now working as a freelance mercenary, is drawn back to the very place that forged her. She must confront the ghosts of her past, not just to seek answers, but to crush the threats rising from the shadows of her old world. This offers a much darker and more intense exploration of Natasha's character than what mainstream audiences would later see in the MCU. Had this movie been made, it could have significantly shifted the perception of female superheroes in cinema, offering a layered, complex portrayal that stood apart from her later appearances. Moreover, this origin story focused on how she transitions from a Soviet tool to an American mercenary, would have vividly illustrated Natasha's dual life. Speaking of dual, we could also have seen the dual truth about the Red Room. The film would also have explored Natasha's life as a freelance mercenary in America, far from her tangled roots in Russia. However, her new life is disrupted when she stumbles upon clues hinting that the Red Room is still operational and evolving. Driven by fear and a need for closure, Natasha finds herself peeling back layers of deception and manipulation as she uncovers the true extent of the program's reach and the new horrors it is perpetrating. Forced to confront her past head-on, Natasha would navigate a web of lies, facing those who once controlled her every move. The movie would have delivered high-octane action, emotional depth, and a gripping narrative, delving deep into the moral complexities of her quest for truth and justice. This storyline could have offered a more sinister, thriller tone compared to the usual superhero story, integrating elements of spy thrillers with the action-packed. The movie was also about action, so we could have seen something on the Cold War espionage. The movie would have given viewers a look into the dark world of spy games between the mighty powers of the US and the Soviet Union. As a master spy and assassin, Natasha would navigate a dangerous path lined with rival agents, double agents, and even moles within her own ranks. But the story becomes more serious as the Soviet Union approaches its dramatic end, pushing Natasha into a desperate situation when her own government marks her for death. Amidst this backdrop, the film explores Natasha's exceptional skills in deception and combat as she scales through complex scenarios, each more dangerous than the last. It would have been a saga of survival, strategy, and betrayal, showcasing her as a physical force and a master of mental games. Setting the story during the Cold War would add a layer of historical wealth, enhancing the originality and tension of the spy narrative. This context would enrich the character's backstory and connect her personal struggles with larger historical events, offering audiences a captivating look at her complexities. Of course, the movie could have attracted fans of historical thrillers as well as superhero fans, expanding its appeal. The intense atmosphere of espionage and global tension could have set a more serious, gritty tone for superhero cinema. Something we don't often see in superhero movies, but could we have seen in this one? Psychological trauma. Ultimately, it's all about the mind. The narrative also centers on Natasha struggling with the haunting memories of her past, her time in the Red Room, her actions as a KGB assassin, and the lives she killed. The film would peel back the layers of her hardened exterior to reveal the turmoil behind her tough facade. As Natasha struggles to reconcile with her past, the audience would be drawn into her emotional journey. And that would have been incredible. This would deepen the character's complexity and present a stark contrast to her physical prowess, creating a dynamic portrayal of a woman torn between her past actions and her desire for atonement. By focusing on Natasha's psychological trauma, the film could have offered a more humanized and relatable version of Black Widow. It would explore the themes of guilt, regret, and the search for redemption, portraying Natasha not just as a super spy, but as a deeply troubled individual could have enriched the narrative, making it a story of espionage and action, and a poignant tale of personal growth and healing. Unlike the movie full of some outer reality stuff that we saw with the 2021 adaptation, we could have seen a more grounded, realistic tone. This was the vision David Hayter had for his 2004 Black Widow movie. A film that would have taken a more grounded, realistic approach to the story of Natasha Romanoff, setting it apart from the more fantastical elements of the later Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hayter's script aimed to focus on the raw, gritty reality of being a spy. Instead of battling against cosmic foes or superpowered villains, Natasha would navigate a world rife with human conflicts and moral dilemmas. This version of Black Widow would emphasize her skills as a spy and assassin, going deep into the psychological and physical demands of her role and showcasing her human vulnerabilities. The setting would reflect this realistic tone, featuring darker, more intense action sequences that feel plausible and are meticulously crafted to maintain suspense and authenticity. The film would explore the stark realities of the spy world, including betrayal, corruption, and the personal cost of secrecy and loyalty. It would have been a refreshing contrast to the typical superhero formula, providing a unique cinematic experience that draws viewers into a world that feels close to their own. By focusing on a more realistic narrative, Hayter's Black Widow could have paved the way for a new genre within superhero cinema, encouraging other filmmakers to explore similar themes and approaches. This shift could have broadened the appeal of superhero movies, attracting fans who prefer intense, character-driven stories over high fantasy adventures. Such a film might have set a precedent for more mature, thoughtful storytelling in the superhero genre, challenging other films to adopt a similar level of depth and realism. So, why did the producer cancel the movie? Back in 2006, David Hayter's vision for a Black Widow movie got shelved after a series of female-led action movies like Aeon Flux, Blood Rain, and Ultraviolet didn't do so well at the box office. Hayter shared that he and Marvel tried hard to find someone else to fund the movie, but they couldn't find a studio ready to believe in the film and the character. Then, when Scarlett Johansson showed up as Natasha Romanoff in Iron Man 2, people started talking about a Black Widow solo movie again. Hayter was pumped to get back to his project, hoping to bring his original idea to life. However, the studio went in a different direction and chose Kate Shortland to direct the Black Widow solo film that finally came out. It's really intriguing to think about what David Hayter's Black Widow movie could have been. His idea sounds like it would have given us a cooler and more exciting introduction to Black Widow compared to what we got in Iron Man 2, where she was mostly just Tony Stark's pretend secretary. Sure, she had that fantastic fight scene in the hallway, but beyond that, her role felt more like eye candy than a fully fleshed out character in the Marvel movie universe. Would Hayter's version of the Black Widow movie have been better? It's very likely. His concept promised a deeper dive into her backstory and more of the intense action that fits a super spy like Natasha Romanoff. It's gotta be really tough for David Hayter, knowing that his Black Widow movie never got made. But here's a twist that adds a bit more sting. While he was working on the script, he had a daughter named Natasha after the superhero. That's like a constant reminder of the movie he never got to create. Even though there's always some buzz about a Black Widow spin-off popping up now and then, maybe, just maybe, Hayter might get another chance to bring his vision to life. Someday. What do you think? Could there be a chance for a revival or a new twist on these old plans in the future? Let us know your thoughts in the comment sections below.